So Diogo says, I'm 17 right now. What's the best way to get into Facebook ads and become a pro? Number one, get the book Ogilvy on Advertising. It's $10 on Amazon. I cannot recommend it enough. I've read it probably 15 times. Also, just go onto YouTube and search David Ogilvy. Ogilvy is a pioneer of direct response marketing. I believe he really got started, I want to say it was the 1940s. He ran tons of Rolls-Royce ads, the Marlboro ads, Guinness ads, the ads for like, I think it was a Shell gas station, petrol, so forth. And he's a mogul. He was a mogul in this industry. And what changed for me, so I got started in e-commerce and all of this when I was 23. I'm 29 now. So I got started about 6 years ago. I launched 15 to 20 different dropshipping brands and products. I had phenomenal websites. I had a phenomenal product. I had a great offer, but it never worked. And then I read that book, Ogilvy on Advertising. And what I realized is that my missing piece was marketing. Figuring out how to essentially go inside of the mind of the consumer, which then ultimately sells the product. And so first read that book. It's a very cheap, efficient way to get started, and it's going to set you up to understand what you're actually doing. Also, the next part of this is don't get hung up on the nuances of advertising online. And what I mean by the nuances is the buttons you're clicking. For example, I see a lot of people get caught up on how to, should you use CBO or not? What should you use $5 or $10 or $20 budgets? Should you use ad set budget optimization? How many creatives should you have per campaign? All of these small details, they don't matter whatsoever anymore. And that's not to say 4 years ago they didn't matter. They were actually very important back then. But as Facebook's improved the algorithms, as they brought in campaign budget optimization, all of these features are meant to remove any necessity to focus on those. And so by getting caught up on those nuances, it's going to waste your time. It's going to make you frustrated. It's going to make you go on these hunts online for something you're missing, when in reality, all you're missing is the principles of successful direct response advertising. If you learn those, you will crush it. So start with that book, understand it, and then from that point, build out a website. And you could even, so one thing I recommend is a lot of people, when they first get started with Facebook ads, is they'll create this, they'll create a Shopify store. They'll try to launch a product. They'll spend, 2 months building out this website, building out the Shopify plugins, doing all these things, when actually the easiest way to practice with Facebook ads is get a domain, build a simple email form, and then just collect leads. And you can use these leads, but ultimately what I recommend doing is just sending traffic to that page to see how your different techniques, to see what creatives work better, to see what structures in your ad account work better. And it's a very good way just to practice without actually having to set up a product whatsoever. And then if you want to use those leads to then ultimately sell a product, you can do that. Or you can sell the leads. You could go, sell those leads on various marketplaces, Flippa, there's like Micro Acquire. So that's a really easy way to get started, very cheap way to get started. That's what I would recommend. So Diogo, hopefully that helps. Appreciate your question. Wasif says, hi Dylan, how are you? I'm doing very well. Appreciate you tuning in. He also says the audience segmentation has been altered on Facebook. Like I was able to target perfect audiences easily before, but it's become difficult now. Any suggestions? Yeah, they've removed, I logged in, I can't remember, it was a few months ago, and I saw that there, that big banner at the top. We've removed some options for detailed targeting. I search some of my best performing interests and they're gone. And so at this point, I had to figure out what to do. And it sounds like it's kind of the same situation you're in. And it all comes down to creative. If you can nail your creative, Facebook can then pinpoint the audience they should be showing it to. And that's why, in my opinion, creative and your ad copy, along with your landing page, your copy and your images on the landing page, it truly actually removes any necessity for very good targeting. Quite often what we do now is we just run broad targeting. Like we don't put any type of interests or lookalikes in our ad sets. We just run broad targeting because we know when we hit that winning creative, that perfectly aligned creative, perfectly aligned landing page, Facebook knows what to do with it. Facebook has some of the best artificial intelligence in the entire world. They had some of the best developers in the world, best engineers, best algorithms. And so ultimately, the only thing that we need to do as advertisers is give them the creative that tells them what to target. So don't focus too much on interests and lookalikes. Yeah, as you get data, use them, but don't worry about the missing interest anymore. Just focus on the creative and the copy and the landing page, and you'll be good to go. So appreciate your question, Wasif. Hopefully that helps. So Frederick says, how can I be a member? I'm assuming you're referring to Pondir, Pondir.com, and it's on the website there. So Musti says, do you use agency accounts? If yes, which company? No, we don't. We use our own agency, and then clients, we always have them set up the ad account. The reason being is we don't like to own anyone's assets. All too often, we onboard a client, we go to set up their page and ask for access, and then we quickly find out that their page is owned by someone else that they can't get a hold of anymore, and it's a headache. So we'll sit on Zoom with the client and walk them through the setup process of their page and their ad account, but we never want to own anything. I know agency accounts are different, but we even then, like, we want to silo their assets to their accounts, and we want to silo our assets to our account. So that's typically how we set this up. Appreciate your question.